A scary scene in Cincinnati in the first quarter of the Buffalo Bills-Cincinnati Bengals game. Bills safety 24-year-old Damar Hamlin made a tackle, got up briefly, then collapsed after suffering a form of cardiac arrest. Hamlin now in critical condition at a hospital in Cincinnati. He was taken off the field by ambulance. That game was suspended by the NFL. No plan yet for that game to pick back up at any point. This coming weekend will be the final week of the NFL regular season. For more on this tragic, scary incident on the field in Cincinnati, I want to welcome in from Mount Sinai Hospital, Dr. Robert Parisien. Doctor, great to have you in-house this morning. Take us through, as you watched this play out last night, what happened here?
Well, Rob, good to be with you this morning. So, I think that this highlights first and foremost that the health and the safety of the athlete comes first and takes precedent, and that really the game is secondary. And we saw that last night with the NFL appropriately sort of postponing this game and really focusing on Damar Hamlin. Now let's look at the play and look at what happened and what we're being reported, that there was a cardiac event, there was a cardiac arrest on the field. When we think of cardiac events on the field, we think of things such as something called a hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Now this is an anatomic variability within the heart, where the heart is a little bit enlarged. Think of Reggie Lewis with the Boston Celtics, for example, when he collapsed from an atraumatic event. Now, there's another phenomenon that is being discussed right now, and that is commotio cordis. Now, commotio cordis is when you have blunt trauma to the chest. Now, fortunately, this is a very, very rare event because it has to happen within a very small window of the cardiac rhythm called the ascending part of the T wave, for example. But it's a very, very small window where this can occur. But when it does occur, it is life-threatening. And so that's why we saw Hamlin get up, and then he collapsed down to his back, and then it appears that he may have had a cardiac event.
So you're saying this is a freak accident? Is this something the NFL, is this something they could screen for? Could this have been prevented?
Well, so, as far as the accident is concerned, we don't know how many times these athletes are actually being hit within that window and nothing happens and nothing occurs. We don't have that data. We likely will never have that data. But for this event, and if it was, which again, we don't know for certain, if it was commotio cordis that caused this, that places the heart into a ventricular dysrhythmia that, again, is life-threatening, and you need a defibrillator device. And, as you saw, they were performing CPR to really get that heart back into the normal sinus rhythm. You can't really screen for something like this, but what you can screen for is if Hamlin had an underlying cardiac condition that we're unaware of at this time.
Yeah, the on-field medical crews performed very well last night. They performed CPR over a 9-minute period. Oxygen was also used. They did restore his heartbeat. And then he was taken quickly by ambulance to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center. He's still listed in critical condition this morning. Take us through what that means. The incident happened on the field at 8:55 p.m. His heart apparently stopped. They were able to get a heartbeat, and then they took him to the hospital. What happens to the brain? The oxygen in your body during that period where the heart's not beating.
Yeah. So initially, when the medical personnel went to the field, they're going to assess for head and neck injuries, which are the most common things. Once they realized it wasn't head and neck, and they maybe looked for a pulse, and they went through circulation, airway, breathing, and they found they didn't have a pulse, they went and they restarted the heart, let's say with a defibrillator.
Right.
At this point in time, it really becomes critical because the heart is pumping blood, which is carrying oxygen to the rest of the body, including the brain. And so at this point in time, they're going to be assessing his cardiac function and what his heart function looks like.
Yeah.
But they're also going to be assessing if was there any period of time or enough period of time where he wasn't receiving oxygen to the brain, causing a larger injury.
Just so tragic. Is there any way to predict if he'll be okay?
At this point in time, I think it's way too early to really try to come up with any prognosis.
Right.
At this point, especially we have very limited data right now with regards to what the physicians are telling us. So.
Dr. Parisien, appreciate you joining us on short notice this morning. Wish it was under better circumstances. Just want to point out Jim Kelly, famous Buffalo Bill Hall of Famer, went to 4 Super Bowls with the Bills. He's a legend in Buffalo. He tweeted out last night, "Never before have I witnessed anything like this. The game doesn't matter. Praying for Damar and his family." The NFL Players Association putting out a similar statement last night. The only thing that matters at this moment is Damar's health and well-being. We will keep a very close eye on that. Again, Dr. Parisien, thank you for that.